Does the name Dr. Jean Augustine sound familiar to you? She was the first Black woman elected as a member of Parliament in Canada. It was her motion in 1995 that led to February being recognized as Black History Month in Canada. Dwayne D.O. Gibson is a Canadian rapper who thinks every Canadian should know the names of Dr. Augustine and other great Black Canadians. For years now, he's been traveling to schools in different parts of the country teaching about Black Canadian history. I spoke with him about that this afternoon. D.O. Gibson, thank you for joining us.
Oh, yeah. Great to be here.
Tell me what the D.O. stands for.
D.O. stands for Defy the Odds, because my first rap name was D.O.G. As a homage to Snoop Dogg, but I really realized I wanted my name to mean something. I think as an artist, especially a rapper, you want your name to mean something and to stand for something. So especially because I do so many school presentations, Defy the Odds is something that every kid can relate to, every adult as well, that we're all just trying to defy the odds.
Why is it that you started doing these school tours? What are you so passionate about?
I come from a family of educators. So people always thought I was going to go into teaching. I went to university and graduated with an English degree. But I had the opportunity to come into a few different classrooms of friends that were teachers. And I just really connected well with students. And I realized that hip hop is a great tool to educate youth. So I've had a blast going to over 3,000 schools nowadays and being able to talk hip hop, but being able to deliver a solid message as well.
Which is what?
Well, it's to defy the odds, it's to stay driven and persevere. And then I focus on three things. I focus on anti-bullying, on leadership, and then right now it's Black Canadian history.
Why Black Canadian history? Why do you think it's important to teach our kids about Black Canadian history?
I'm a sixth-generation Black Canadian, but the thing for me is when I started going to the schools, up until just a couple of years ago, I've been doing it for 20 years, and every school I would go into, they would talk about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and that was it. So every year it was the same thing, and I thought it was important to get across Canadian Black history. My family, half of them come from Nova Scotia. The other side comes from Saskatchewan, so right near Winnipeg. But the stories of Black history in Nova Scotia, I think, are relevant to all Canadians, whether we're talking about Viola Desmond on a $10 bill, whether we're talking about the Colored Hockey League, or whether we're talking about Africville. And it's been great to educate young Canadians about Canadian history.
How receptive are the kids to these stories?
The kids are always great. Sometimes people wonder, being that I'm based in Toronto, if my presentations will work in maybe a rural community or a place where students aren't as racialized. But I find it doesn't matter where you go across this country, that people really latch on to what I'm talking about, because besides history, they're really good stories. You know, when I talk about Viola Desmond and I talk about how she was in a movie theater, it doesn't matter if you're a kid who's 4 years old, you love going to the movies. And I talk about getting popcorn and getting ready for the movie. But then I say, has anybody ever told you to move from where you're sitting? And to me, that's where it really sinks in, that that kid who might not know what segregation means can understand, I've never been to a movie and had somebody tell me to move. So I think it's really just kids are able to connect with those lessons.
I watched a video of yours today for a song called One Woman Can Change the World. And there's a kid in that video, your daughter. What do you hope changes for her?
Well, it was so much fun shooting that video because in the part of the video, she's holding up a picture of my grandmother. And to me, that shows the different generations. And so to bring it back to Viola Desmond, a lot of people learn about how she stood up by sitting down in a movie theater. But I also want kids to know that Viola Desmond was an entrepreneur. The whole reason she was at that movie theater is because she was on a business trip. She was refused being able to go to school to be a beautician in Halifax. So she had to go to school in New York City under the first Black female millionaire, Madam C.J. Walker. So I want my daughter to learn that people in the past, whether it's my aunts or grandmother or cousins, have helped pave the way for her to achieve her dreams and be anything she wants to be.
And change the world.
and change the world.
Dio Gibson, thank you so much for your time today. Great chatting with you.
Thank you so much.